existed within unconditional love, God source, whether it's the universe or the creator or whatever term works for you to be able to connect to that infinite loving space. We're all allowed to have free will and free choice, and whatever resonates with you, and that's awesome. Do you. So with the higher self, it has this it's never felt the spectrum of pain or fear that the ego is tapped into, because the ego is part of the duality, with fear and love being the two spectrums and everything in between. So guilt, shame, fear. And the higher self has only ever known unconditional love. Just unconditional, pure wholeness. And that's the part that we're addressing to each other at the end of a yoga class, where we say, Namaste. The light in me recognizes the light in you. And as we tend this flame, as we let the fire grow and build and rage, it starts catching others on fire. Because the truth is, when you shine your light, it gives other people permission to do the same thing. And when people see other people in that high, loving vibration where nothing can touch you, because you are tapped in to that love, that unconditional love, that never faltering, never failing, always there. And that's your wings, and it'll take you anywhere you want to go. Because if you can tap into that vibration of love, you can go anywhere. And it's been such a good ride since I surrendered to this. And now I'm on this stage doing this crazy talk for all you cool people. So thank you guys so much for coming out. So through this dynamic of the higher self and the ego, the importance is not to keep them separate, but it's to unify them. It's to create a marriage between them. Because if you want to think about it, your ego is this child driving a car down a rocky hillside road that's all just swoopy and swervy, and your higher self's this just super patient, compassionate, loving mother sitting in the passenger seat, just waiting to take over whenever it's offered. But the ego really wants to hold on to control because it thinks it knows the best way to take care of you. And it does, like I said, it does a really good job. But as you can tap in and surrender to this higher consciousness inside of us, what the ego does is it realizes that it doesn't have to be so attached to the control, and it can release that. And in that surrender, it's kind of like that compassionate, loving mother takes the inner child ego and puts it in a back seat, gives it a pacifier, a bottle, or some candy maybe, and takes the wheel and just says, I got you, I got this. And the higher self has this infinite understanding and perspective. The range of awareness that is available to your highest self that is connected to God source literally means it's infinite. So your ego has super small tunnel vision of what's going on, people in your life, why this person's doing this or that. Your higher self has the full picture, so it sees how, well, this thing happened and it was shitty, but it actually created space for this other thing that's actually the best thing ever. And if that shitty thing hadn't happened, you wouldn't have had this door open. And so it's kind of this behind the scenes energy working for your highest and best good. So the more you can tap into that and meditate and connect to, and you can just ask your, in meditation or quiet time, just ask your higher self to say hi, to introduce itself. And as you start this dialogue, as you open these channels, they'll perpetually get clearer and clearer. And it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes persistence. And through this time investment, through this investment in yourself. Taking care of yourself on a soul spiritual level, whatever that means to you, but taking the time to making sure you're checking in with yourself. You know what you're doing, why you're doing it, what your intentions are in your actions, because sometimes we can just get totally caught up in the bullshit of this materialistic hologram, and you can just lose it. And I know it's totally happened to me. It still does from time to time. It's a constant battle of burning your ego, having experiences that create ego death, and through it, as the ego burns, the phoenix that rises from those ashes is capable and powerful of transcending any and all things. So, thank you. So, moving on from that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about intention and setting intentions and the power of it. So, there is this super, super awesome quote that's pretty much like if anybody ever asks me what's the one piece of advice you have for people, it's watch your thoughts because they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, it becomes your character. And watch your character because it becomes your destiny. And it all starts with how you talk to yourself inside your own head. So, as free will individuals, we have the choice. We have the choice of how we're going to treat ourselves, how we're going to invest in self-love, which will be an inward reflection of how we're going to start reflecting energy outwards. So if you are able to look yourself in the eye in the mirror, and no matter what, on any day, look yourself in the eyes and say, I love you, and mean it and feel it, it's going to start opening doors. And as you start coming into that self-love, your words will change. You'll start telling other people how much you love them, how your actions will start becoming more service-minded, and so on and so forth, and on and on. And so through intention setting, I feel like intention is what comes before the thoughts. And so whether it's writing or just thinking, what have you, knowing kind of what you want and where you're going, or if you don't know what you want, asking for clarity and listening to that little voice inside your heart, because it wants to be heard. It wants a relationship with you. It wants to be able to connect and convey what it has to say outwardly, because as we start living from our hearts, as we start living in that truth and that light, again, it's going to be something that raises and shifts the entire conscious vibration of this planet. And through the vibration of love, it truly opens all doors. Negativity is not allowed in the love field. And haters are definitely gonna hate, and that's totally their own shit, man, and that is totally not you. And you just gotta know that if you're truly coming from a solid place of love and intention, then no one can steal your sparkle. That is yours. You own that, and anything that anybody ever negatively reflects out is just their own shit coming to light that they haven't dealt with, that they haven't looked inward and seen there's room for improvement, there's room for growth. And I'm definitely not perfect, and I'm still doing the work. And having a practice, having meditation or yoga or running, whatever. My practice is huge is sewing. It's like a super crazy meditation where you just have to be super present for every stitch of the needle, and what goes into the final product is just it's over there and stuff. But it's the intention that goes into meditation and how it's amplified, how the vibration is expanded as you decide what seeds you want to plant, and then you put time, you put love, you water it, you fertilize it, and then the fruit that starts being produced is just so fucking tasty. And you have so much to share, and you have this influx of just this bottomless cookie jar that you're just trying to fill. You're literally trying to give away all the cookies because you're baking so many cookies all the time, and you're like, literally take these cookies because I need to keep baking because this is what I love. So y'all get all the cookies, and it's this beautiful overflow. And so through that time of self-investment, as your cup is full and overflows, making sure that first of all you're taking care of yourself so that all the extra overflow can just be given lovingly and without attachment or expectations, because you are in your full integrity. You have made sure that you are taken care of, and because of that, as a result, you will abundantly be able to take care of those around you, whether it's loved ones, partners, strangers, whoever. Even just smiling at strangers. Like here it's definitely super easy because everyone's super stoked on life, but even walking down the street or at the grocery store where you just really give somebody a beaming ass smile and they just feel it, because positive energy it's contagious. And my whole thing is through free will and choice, we have the choice to either exist in the negative vibration and guilt or shame or whatever, just kind of stealing energy, or you can be creating energy. And through that, I like to think of it as positive energy generators that are just out in the world. So you have the choice to do this, and again, it taps into that upward spiral, into that heart opening expansion that collectively just serves everyone, gets everyone tapped in and turned on, and just super helpful for the world in general. And I can see a lot of you guys are already doing a really good job, so thank you so much for the light you're bringing, and you guys are making me feel so awesome. I'm super glad to have the opportunity to share this time and space with you. Can I get a time check? 4:40. Okay, cool. So I got a couple things left. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about intention with ceremony, and in these places, there can be a lot of ritual. There can be a lot of the sacred that can combine with the silliness. And personally, that's my favorite combo. Yeah, the sacred silly. Keep it sparkly, keep it swifty, and so for example, I've been super jamming on cacao lately, and I got into it in Guatemala, and it's just super heart opening, open heart, open crown, just openness and little groove in your step. And so through cacao ceremony or anything else that's going to shift your vibration or put you in a different state, for me, over the last couple of years, I've just really been taking the time to set some intentions before I do that. So I'm going to invite you guys to start this practice if you feel like it resonates. And what I do is I take my cacao, in my left hand, receiving. I put my right hand over it, and I offer a blessing. And my own personal blessing that's kind of come through and been channeled, and just through doing it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times and blessing other people and myself. When you set the intention to align yourself within a certain parameter of where the infinite cosmic energy can come through, welcoming in the positive energy, but as well as repelling the negative energy, because there's some vampires out there, and there's some people that really feed off your energy. And so becoming vulnerable, becoming open, opening your heart into that space, it attracts some stuff. And there's certain things that attract it more than others, some more of the low vibrational stuff. But anyway, getting into it. So the blessing that I set is just a request, and I just say, I align these molecules with the Christ consciousness vibration of unconditional love, light, and service to all beings. May I stay centered in my higher self so I may clearly hear,